and I just exploded out of my body. All of those three things happened at the same time. My vision was going out, I was separating from my body, and I exploded out. And um, at an angle, like 45 or so degree angle, like is what it felt like. And I still felt like I had a body, and I arched backwards, and I said, my last human words were, I'm finally free. And my whole body just dissolved into nothing. And
Wow.
this
That
whole
is
world
just,
evaporated. I didn't it was gone. It never happened. I had no recall.
that's
And
interesting. That's interesting
yeah,
that you wouldn't like it's like that division was that great where it wasn't even a part of who you were anymore.
yeah. And so I'm going that way. And then this feeling of freedom, like, burst from the center of my being in every direction, like the sun shining light,
Mm-hmm.
never ended. Well, not yet. And I could handle it though, but it was ecstatic. It wasn't overwhelming like on a roller coaster when you're dropping or something.
Mm-hmm.
Where you, it was just, and it was pure freedom. And I was going that way like really fast. And then I had this spark of joy. Joy burst from the center of my being and was blended with the freedom. And they were both happening simultaneously. And I have felt that freedom and that joy, that that true freedom and joy. Maybe I get the number three, maybe three times since then.
Welcome to Souls on Tap. I'm your host, Julianne Thon. Some awakenings come gently. Others begin with death. At just 19 years old, during a routine plasma donation in Mesa, Arizona, my guest crossed over and came back. That near death experience ignited a lifelong pursuit of consciousness, inner awareness, and the true nature of life itself. By 1987, that calling led him to the Washington Psychic Institute, where meditation, energy work, and clairvoyant training became the doorway, not to something new, but to something deeply remembered, a return home. I'd like to welcome to the show, John Kelley. Hey, John.
Hello.
I might as well tell our viewers that you and I have been having an amazing conversation that, and we kept saying we better stop or else before we know it, hours are going to be by. We won't have recorded anything. So
Yeah.
to
And
begin
yeah.
your outstanding and amazing story, because I have watched you on several different podcasts. I was hoping we could begin before you get into your story, your near-death experience. Can you take us back to that moment just before your near-death experience and tell us what was happening in your life? What do you
uh,
think was happening internally? Because that's important, even if
right.
you didn't realize it at the time,
Yeah, that's for sure.
right?
Um, so my nature was so I born into split, a polarized family where my mom was like an angel, like real one, like, but not stupid. Like she's in this world, so how could you not know other stuff? And my dad was pretty disturbed and messed up and violent and all that. And so my first 8 years of my life were living in fight or flight and fear. And well, that's all I knew. So what else is there, right? For a child.
Sure.
Until they get a comparative analysis by staying at their friend's house overnight or something. And then you're
Right.
like, hey, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But
You mean it's not like that everywhere?
yeah,
Right.
then you start feeling cheated. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, Um, so that imprint was my first imprint, the main way that, as I was developing. And so later on, I was pretty disturbed but shy until I was about 11. And I started acting out and um, against parental authority and any authority because I couldn't trust him, right?
Combined with hormones, it's a deadly recipe.
Yeah, the hormones, yeah, but see, that's okay because I became independent young. And even though it wasn't under the best circumstances, it was necessary for my life path later. And so I started training in martial arts when I was 13 and a half or so, or somewhere in there, and 13 something. And because I still had deep fear, well, basically because of the imprints that the way that my nature had formed was attracting bullies to me. And they were picked. I could not escape these guys. They were the jocks, and I was actually the third fastest runner in that school because I was trying to escape them all the time. and and finally I asked at the time uh well we would visit my dad, you know, and I asked him to start me in martial art, or in karate is what I called it then. And he saw my black eye and my fat lip, and he knew. And so he started the whole family, including the kids with my mom, me, including my stepbrother and sister at his house, and my stepmom and himself. We started training.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, my dad had an excavation business. So what ended up happening is my stepbrother and sister were forced to go till they had their black belt, and then they had a choice. I was, um, I loved martial arts because it was a way of tapping into my power.
I was just going to say, wasn't that the first time you discovered your power, like to that extent?
Yeah, I learned how to express it, but that's kind of it's an iffy way to come into contact with power is through martial means war,
Right, right.
and but it's where I discovered that women can be powerful.
Oh,
And I discovered it right away as I was getting my butt kicked, by inspiring, and I just
sure.
fell in. I didn't even know, you're just living on automatically, but I instantly fell in. I was in my hormonal kick, like I was coming into my hormones, and the beautiful blonde 18-year-old that kicked me from my feet to my head 7 times in a hundredth of a second, and I couldn't even turn around to escape. I just fell in love with her. It was this weird combination, not her, but with powerful
Sure.
expressing
Yeah.
females. And that was really important for me for later. And still unconscious. I mean, not aware that much.
What a
And
wise lesson to learn early on in life. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know anything. I didn't have a point of view of my mother. I just saw her get beat up, and uh, and hid, like, or threw stuff at my dad when I was 3. I remember that. Leave my mom alone. Throwing something at him and hitting him in the back.
Isn't that interesting that your father would want her to be trained in martial arts, though,
Oh no, my
after?
mom, my mom wasn't.
Oh, I thought you
They
said
were
she
divorced.
also.
Yeah,
Okay, I
my
gotcha.
stepmom, like
Okay.
my. But see, what's even weirder is when my mom and him were together, he was a welder and traveled all over. We all traveled all over the United States. and to different welding jobs because we were all pretty young. I was the oldest and I was really young. And he required her to train and carry a pistol. I mean,
Wow.
that's pretty brave when you're being abusive to your wife.
No
But
kidding.
anyway, so uh so I got really good at martial arts and it was really exciting and I was really a playful kind of person and I took it farther than my teachers could show me. I was more wild than that, and I would try everything. I was basically like a prodigy in a way, like meaning I immersed myself from sunup to sundown in thinking about it, imagining new movements, practicing them. I was really dialed and had a lot of fun with it. And I never got victimized after the very beginning. It was like my attitude changed. I didn't even know anything. I didn't know how to punch. And but it was my attitude and boom, everyone stopped bothering me. And so
So what I think what you're saying is your energy changed, right? And
yeah,
people could sense, like
but
like
that's also
dogs and cats, they
yeah,
can sense when you need to be bullied, when you're going to
yeah,
be easy prey, right?
you magnetically draw it to you.
Absolutely.
If
Yep.
you feel like that, then you'll draw the proof, the confirmation. It's like everything that we hold is a confirmational. We create conformational loops and we see what we look for, and what we're looking for is confirmation of what we know is true for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And like a
Like,
magnet, we just draw it
yeah,
just to validate. Yep, I was right.
we won't even notice everything else that doesn't match it or confirm it.
Exactly.
Until later, when we start becoming more aware, we'll start seeing things that we don't hold as true because we start coming into the more that we are.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, to stick on the story on point, so made it through high school somehow. I was really intelligent, so it was easy. I was very bored, and I'd raise my hand in biology, and the teacher would be like, "John," and I'd say, "How can I apply this to my life?" You know, and he'd be like, "Just do the work, or you won't pass the class, then you won't get graduate from high school." And so, like I'm like, "All right."
That's, I'm a retired teacher, and when I hear stories like that, it just breaks my heart. I mean,
Yeah.
what an like it's funny that you should say that, John, because I was looking at you and I was trying to picture what you were like when you were that age, what you look like, what your hair looked like, and which is very common for me. And I thought to myself, I'll bet you he was a really bright kid. I'll bet I would have loved to have had him in one of my classes. And see, I was
Yeah.
right. So anyway,
The
getting back to where you were.
so um so I had a couple or I had a friend that I met in the fifth grade and we stayed friends. He wanted to be my friend because he was a really big guy and he liked to fight and people this is before martial art training, people picked on me. And so that gave him an excuse. If he protected me, he could beat people up. And so,
Wow.
so we actually became good friends, and I know we were friends from beyond this.
That
Yeah,
is that's a great story.
yeah. And he became a Golden Gloves boxer, like he was 190 pounds. I was the martial art guy. We would teach each other stuff and go out and, on the cruise strip and, you know,
Do your thing.
find bullies and
Yeah.
at least we were nice about it. We only took out bullies, like, and that turned on us. Like, be
Oh,
like, leave that guy alone. And they'd turn around and move of the week just sent him into unconsciousness.
wow.
Yeah, I got lots of practice. And then I got over that phase. And because I instinctually knew that if you're gonna play play predator, prey, even if you're preying on the predator,
Right.
that there's bigger ones, and you're going to end up regretting it, just like they just did. And and so
Yeah.
I ended up feeling danger starting to creep into my world.
Uh,
And so I was smart enough to be sense know what that sense was, and I became nonviolent. Like
wow. Just
I
that
still
fast.
practiced, but I didn't fight anymore. And uh, which it really wasn't a fight. Those were just practicing, um, applying it in real life, with a dangerous person. And so later on, Rick went into the military and got out. I think he left early for some reason. Anyway, we had reputations in our hometown. And so some of it was good, some of it wasn't. And
Was it a small town?
then it was about 30,000 or something. And we usually lived out in the county, and we come into town and on the weekends and cause trouble and party and stuff. And so, or whatever, have fun in some way.
Hmm.
And so anyway, what we thought was fun then, I don't think I would never do that stuff now, but I
Right.
I mean, I value this multi-dimensional interface. It's like priceless, It's the only
Well
thing I
said.
own too. I don't own anything else. It's just, you know. So I better take care of it because, I
Hmm.
can't trade it in. At least I'm not aware of how yet. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
so at some point we decided we've had our head, we were brainstorming and just, he told me he had an aunt in Phoenix, Arizona. And we were talking about like taking off and finding work somewhere else and just starting fresh where nobody knew us and just being level and not having any reputation and type stuff. And so uh, Rick brought his brother Corey, his younger brother, or we all three of us left, and we had enough money. I mean, we were working in there and making money also. We weren't just, you know, freeloading off of society or our parents or
Right.
whatever.
And at this point, you had already moved there, or you were thinking about moving there?
Oh no, we decided to take off, and Rick had this little Ford Courier, and we took off in that thing. I don't remember how we all prepared, but we each had a backpack with our clothes, and there was no canopy. Our backpacks were in the back. It was a little truck, so we're shoulder to shoulder, and so it broke down a couple times. Somewhere we went through California the long way from Northwest Washington up by Canada, and it broke down and we fixed it, spent the money, and we ended up making it to Arizona with a little money left for a while for gas. And we ended up, we were trying to start fresh. And so we didn't want to do anything illegal or questionable,
Mhm. Yeah.
like siphon gas or steal food or
Hmm.
something, right? And so we ended up starving, and we never went to his aunt's house. We were running around trying to drum up money, going to churches, and we tried getting food at this food bank, and we didn't have a state ID, so they didn't allow it. And we ended up starving for quite a while, or just going without food is another way to put it. And we were drinking water out of like gas station bathrooms out of the
Oh, wow.
faucet.
Yeah.
And boy, talk about being oblivious back in those days. And uh, so what ended up happening, we were running around, or would drive. We still had gas. And I can remember driving. And at some point, we weren't hungry anymore, and our minds just turned off. And we were just in this like state of being with no responsibilities, nowhere to be, no one to answer to. We didn't have a job, nothing. And so it just, we just went into this state of being. And I can remember going down this road. The roads in Phoenix are like, back in those days, were 50 minutes long through the town, through the city. That's not on the outskirts. And it is
Yeah.
a huge city. Uh,
I used to live there. I lived there for about 12 years. So,
yeah. And so we're
and
like,
and sorry to interrupt you, but here's what's really interesting. So, you probably had an experience that's analogous to some of the yogis, although yours was less less spiritually, you know,
well,
perpetrated.
spirituality with, stumbling into infinity.
Right. It wasn't a conscious effort, right?
Yeah.
But they do say that when you do fast,
Yeah.
uh, for 40 days and 40 nights, as the great masters, one of our great masters tells us, it is an amazing experience where you suddenly lift and become more of a part of your own nature, but not even understanding what the hell is going on.
Well,
So,
you don't
which is
have to do it for 40 days.
right. Right.
Because when the story spinner stops, when you, and you're just in a state of being, well, what are you? You're a being. And for sure, we can definitely agree on that with anyone. You are a living being, right? And so, yeah, I discovered that later about in deeper training later on about all these ways that in the East that they used to mostly India for
To get there.
yeah, and there's a lot of ways by not talking and for like 20 days
Right.
or something. I met a 17-year-old girl that was doing that for 23 days. She
My
wouldn't
God.
talk. She must be ancient, tapping into ancient knowledge somehow. So, um, strange things happen. Sometimes I hesitate to say things because they're so far out.
Well, that's you mean in regard specifically to this interview, because I'm here to
Yeah.
tell you it's carte blanche.
Okay. So we're going down. I lost track of every time. The time didn't exist anymore. And we're just driving. And I have the feeling of this gas station over there that we passed, and we're going by this huge abandoned parking lot, like it must have been a quarter square mile, and grass growing out and broken concrete and twisted parking concrete things. And but we're just going this way. None of us are thinking. I know they were in a being state also because I knew them for so long. Uh, but I didn't think of it then. And there's this huge black cloud front coming, massive, like a couple thousand feet high. It's like here it comes, looming in, and
Well,
we're
what a metaphor for your experience.
yeah. And these big, huge drops of rain, like I swear they were 2 or 2.5 inches long, and they went and hit the window, and I had a thought out of the nothing, and it was very intense. And I was like, we need a tarp because we had our backpacks in the back uncovered. There we didn't have them covered. And they both looked at me at the same time and said, yeah, in unison. And we all started turning our heads back to the road because we're driving. Rick's driving, and I'm in the passenger seat. Corey's in the middle. As I started turning my head, right there, this blue tarp appeared in thin out of the energy of life or out of the nothing with a cracking noise, crack, and blew in front of the truck and wrapped around that telephone pole. This was
Oh,
really quick.
wow.
And I said, pull over. And then we pulled over. All of us jumped out. grabbed it, tucked it under the
Talk about
backpacks and the
talk about manifesting.
yeah, instant.
I mean,
Like
that's
it was
incredible.
yeah.
Wow.
And I'm the only one that saw it. They saw it go across in front of the truck. The wind was blasting and it went and hit the telephone pole. And uh boom, it happened so fast. Out, grabbed it. We surrounded the truck, stuffing it under the backpacks. It was this thing, I remember it. It was a brand new plastic blue tarp with no creases from being folded. I remember that. And it was the perfect size. It was like
Wow.
6 foot by 8 foot or something. It was small. It might have been smaller. I don't remember how big it was. It wasn't that big. And but it was the perfect size. And so now I'm thinking a little bit as we jump in and start driving again. I didn't tell them. I didn't say anything. And it was all just bam, 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 bam. And we're inside the truck again. La, la, la. And I'm like, it, I'm going through the images in my mind. And then I just went back to nothing, like a state of being. And then somewhere later on, I don't remember. I don't know any. I don't have any way to track time in that part, that area of my life,
Hmm.
or with what was going on in my memory. There's no way to track it. All I know, oh, it was the summer, and it was really hot, like very hot,
Hmm.
and so, and we were from the Pacific Northwest, where it doesn't get that hot.
Yeah, and Arizona hot means like we're talking 120 and up
Yeah.
Fahrenheit. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it was more than 120 while we were there, but we didn't have air conditioning. And I do remember you lean against the seat and lean forward, and your whole back's wet with
right,
sweat.
right.
That quick. Boom. And so I had this all of a sudden later on, I got this idea. We went through a lot of things like going to churches and trying to find, you know,
Food.
money, but we didn't get anything. Oh no, we did get a 20 one time somewhere in there. I don't maybe we used it for I don't even know what we did. And use it for gas or something. And so I got another idea, you know, um, and it was to go to a blood bank to give blood for money. And it just birthed. And I said it. They were like, yeah. And so we found a big, huge phone book back in the phone booth days. And we found, and it was in Mesa, Arizona, right there. It's almost part of Phoenix. Uh, so we go, I'm wearing shorts and a button-up shirt, short sleeve, and I think I had a necklace on, like seashells, and I had long blonde hair. And I probably looked like I came from a beach in California or
Mhm.
something, and
Right.
thongs. So we go there, we find it, we jump out. I'm seeing it in my mind now. I remember this part pretty well. And we go in the door, glass doors, and there's a big counter. And of course, we're going there. People don't walk in there unless they're there to do that. And so we go in there. They hand us these clipboards, and we read it. Each of us had our own, and it said you had to have 3 square meals a day for 7 days before you could give blood.
Oops.
And over there was a fresh rack of bread from a bakery
Oh,
on the
really?
bakery rack. Yeah, the whole place smelled like bread,
Mm,
and
you poor
it
things. You
was real
guys,
fresh. And
yeah, you guys must
we
have been
just,
starving.
yeah, we just looked at each other, signed, handed it back, went to the rack of bread, started eating. And while we were waiting to get called back, we get called back eventually, and we're full. That probably won't take much when your stomach's like this big
Right,
after it
right.
shrinks. But
Yeah.
so there was 4 rows two in the center, back to back, and against both walls, facing out. And I was in the third one over, facing away. Rick was in the first one, so he could see the back of my head over there because he was a little offset. And they plugged us in with those huge needles. And it was a plasma bank where they spin the plasma out
Right.
and put the blood back in. And um, so probably 30 seconds into it or a minute or something. And at the very beginning segment, I started feeling like I was going to pass out. And um, I I don't believe I only felt that once before when I smashed my finger while I was lifting weights, and it overwhelmed my whole body.
Ow.
And I learned how from that experience to isolate the pain, to leave it where it is, to not let it take over my body, spread through it, and to breathe. In martial art training, somehow I figured it out, and it had something to do with martial art training. And so I was starting to pass out, and I was focusing with everything I had. I am not going to pass out, right? And I didn't say anything. I was just getting queasy, and I was like, my head was getting floppy, like a wet noodle. And it fell this way when I was turning my head, and this guy in a white coat way over there with a clipboard, he was way over there, like 40 feet away or something. He just looked right up into my eyes directly. And he's like, "Are you oh?" And I tried to shake my head as he was starting to say K. My vision was going with speckles from the center outwards, like a blank TV channel in the old days. And when you're not getting good reception or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
just but it started right in the center and started coming outwards. And then this all happened in the same second. And I could hear this like Velcro ripping apart.
Wow.
Really, that's what it sounded like,
Interesting.
exactly like that.
It's really
And
interesting.
I didn't really feel it, but I sure heard it. And I was trying to say no, and I just exploded out of my body. All of those three things happened at the same time. My vision was going out, I was separating from my body, and I exploded out. And um, at an angle, like 45 or so degree angle, like is what it felt like. And I still felt like I had a body, and I arched backwards, and I said, my last human words were, "I'm finally free." And my whole body just dissolved into nothing. And
Wow.
this
That
whole
is
world
just,
evaporated. I didn't re It was gone. It never happened. I had no recall.
that's
And
interesting. That's interesting
yeah,
that you wouldn't it's like that division was that great where it wasn't even a part of who you were anymore.
yeah. And so I'm going that way. And then this feeling of freedom like burst from the center of my being in every direction, like the sun shining light,
Mm-hmm.
never ended. Well, not yet. And I could handle it though, but it was ecstatic. It wasn't overwhelming like on a roller coaster when you're dropping or something,
Mm-hmm.
where you, it was just psh, and it was pure freedom. And I was going that way like really fast. And then I had this spark of joy. Joy burst from the center of my being and was blended with the freedom. And they were both happening simultaneously. And I have felt that freedom and that joy, that that true freedom and joy. Maybe I get the number three, maybe three times since then. That's like 40 years ago. And only momentary, the maximum for the freedom part was like 10 minutes.
Wow.
And there was a reason I was feeling it too, but that's another story. So that it sparked off. And uh which says a lot. That's a long time to not feel free and to have like real true joy and you know, and um so I'm flying, going that way. And uh all of a sudden I got curious and I'm not human right now. There's no
Right.
body, I could see. So I inverted my awareness, like looking around, kind of looking through and around with my attention or my awareness. And it was like these speckling colors of energy. And it felt like I was folding on myself like this, or that the travel wasn't just traveling. It was like, but I didn't feel it before I inverted. I was just going that way and ecstatic and or feeling freedom and joy and I there's only like three colors to those specks. And I was looking around, my awareness was looking around and I focused in the direction that I was traveling. It was almost like I was orienting myself somehow. And and then I had the curiosity of where I was going, but without human words. Because that didn't exist. I wasn't, that never happened. Like I never had not been whatever, there was no reference. So I didn't even think that I had always been this. I didn't
Well,
even think that.
interesting, because this had
Yeah.
become your reality then.
Do what?
This had become your reality.
Yeah. I was just in a state of being once
Being.
again.
And so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that had nothing to do with your
Yeah.
state. So yeah, wow.
And so, but as soon as I had that curiosity, everything stopped. And I was like, I stopped just before I reemerged, went back into the larger. I was being reeled in, and like a spaghetti noodle into your mouth.
So you were being reeled backwards, you mean? You wanted to
I
go,
was being, I was being pulled back into my true nature,
okay.
or the
Wow.
true whatever what we really are is beyond. Boy, it's a little alarming when we're so used to being physical that we have lost all frame of reference of the real true being we are. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
that's a little alarming. It's like it's gonna be freak me out not to be human, like that has crossed my mind before. Like even after all the psychic training and everything later on and practice, and I still once in a while will be like, because I'm still in the the discovery of my actual true nature. Like I don't think it'll ever end. Maybe. I don't know if there is time involved. It's more like a gradient awareness opening in awareness or something. And so I stopped and then I got this full upload. I stopped below this giant ball. Like it'd be like the moon being closer than the clouds.
Hmm.
And it went on and
Mm.
on, but I could tell it was round. And it was pushing on the envelope of this dimension. It was like pushed into it. So there was a dent where the larger being, nature entity being, whatever the hell really the truth is, or what we would call it, it was pushed in and docked. It was like docked, like a ship on a dock, into the membrane of the universe or this dimension, the inner dimensions of this universe, like on the energy level, something like that. And the line of energy, the upload I got was that's me.
Okay.
This is an investment of energy that is being reeled back in. It's like experiential investment for growth. Well, I say this now, but I didn't think that then. The upload was like what that is, what was going on, and I was getting reeled back in. And the reason I got that upload is because I had the curiosity. I was like, in a way, I asked,
Hmm.
where am I going? But I didn't have human thinking or words.
Mhm.
It was just pure curiosity, and like when I made the focus, I everything stopped and I got the full being upload. In load. My inner voice said in load.
Inload.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like I
Well,
just while
you're
I was saying that I got a replacement for it. Like no, in load is like a more accurate word.
isn't it funny when your guides are like, by the way, we've had it. You need to start calling it inload.
Well,
You've
that
been
was my
calling you've been calling it download. What was that? Not your guide, something else?
well, in a sense, it's guidance, but it's source direct.
Source direct. So,
Yeah, because we are one being.
right.
And so the deeper source level of our being that delivers more ideas about what we're focusing on, like there's a natural process underway in living motion, though. It's not mechanical. It's all conscious. And from the deeper levels, that level grows this level, like
Wow.
guides its evolution, but doesn't think for it. It's almost like we're the chooser, the assessor and chooser, but our very nature that we forgot calls through us. What we desire out of everything, those things come from the deeper nature that also gives us more information. So it's like one interrelated, multi-level being that we are. And we have to discover this through direct introspection in order
Right.
to understand it because words can't capture it.
And the quest, as I like to call
Yeah.
it, is about figuring out how to tap into our true nature.
Yeah, that's
And
my whole life quest. Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's how to refine that.
No, 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 no. It's not at all. No, it's about
No
how to.
what?
No,
What?
I'm saying it's not like if we can tap into what our true nature really is, we
Mhm.
begin to discover that it is so the magnitude, the vastness
That's the
is
word that was in my mind was vast. Yeah.
you cannot numerically you can't solve it.
You can't analytically understand it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's it's not linear. I mean, it's not analytical. It's intuitive or it's direct experiential.
But it is direct experiential, but it's also intuitive because
Yeah.
our intuition is a part of our true nature. We all have it. Some of us just decide to block it
Absolutely.
off and but
Yeah.
anyway, so
That's a whole rabbit hole we can
I
go into
oh
later.
you John, you
Yeah.
and I could go down. I'm just seeing these landmines
Oh,
just
good.
all
See, that's your true intelligence.
over.
Because see, when we focus, we summon information. It's a natural process of our very nature, our true nature. And so it's the design and the setup here. Like until we become conscious and can stand on our 2 feet, own 2 feet, we are held. Otherwise, none of us would be alive. I mean,
Right.
who's driving that car when you were spacing off, imagining something else or
Oh,
thinking,
we've all done it where you
yeah,
you pull into the driveway and you go, how the
how
hell
did
did
I
I
get here?
yeah.
Yeah. Who was driving? That's what I say now. But I don't even ask because I already know.
Right.
And and it's the same thing about breathing and like you can, you know, it's we're one being. And we've been taught ever to break things apart, to not include the essence or the consciousness or the spiritual level. and to be mechanical and objective, and that everything's outside of us. And then we completely developed a personality in that relationship, in relationship with everything outside of us, according to what is acceptable in the family agreements, the collective, and the larger collective agreements. And so we police ourselves with our finger on the pulse so that we fit in. And while we're focusing and doing that, we lose track of our true nature. And that's very young. The actual real being we are, the being that being. And we start developing a personality. And without ever referencing the truth of our nature and of which is the truth of life itself, because we're made of nature, the nature of nature. So when we, without building an identity, without referencing the actual truth, means it's completely artificial,
Right.
or it's not based on truth or on the nature of life. And so these are just ideas. You know, we're very creative because we're made of infinite creative energy that creates universes, and which are infinite, by the way. There's not just one, just like galaxies and stars.
I know, like I was just thinking about that when you were describing your larger, I don't know if it was your oversoul. I don't know what that moon-like amazing sphere was that was over your head, but it was definitely you, right? A part of
The
you.
true self. Yeah.
But I remember I had a hypnosis session done on me because I went I had an emergency open heart surgery back in April. Had no idea that my heart was not in great shape. It was just fine, and then boom. And I was waiting to have an experience like you've had. I was so excited to go under. I was like, yeah, I'm finally going to get to do it. I didn't tell a lot of people that because you know what they would say. And I woke up and I remember the first thing I thought, it was, damn, it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Well, maybe it
Or
was a
you
message.
didn't translate it.
So this is
Yeah.
what happened. I had a session, hypnotism session. I'm
Mhm.
getting back to you here, so just bear
Oh,
with
that's
me.
all fine.
Uh, I I saw what was going on during my 6 hour procedure, and in my session, I rose to the ceiling, you know, and sort of the stereotype of what you hear a lot of people have out of body experiences. But then my son is like, come on, we know you've been here before, but you want to come play. So I took off with him, and there was my mom, and it really was just lovely. It was, I seem to always end up where the Akashic records are. I'm not sure what they even are, but they're always right there. So I'm sure in the near future it'll reveal why I keep seeing that. But uh my mother, each of them wanted to impart some wisdom, making it very clear that I was only there for a very short period of time and I needed to get back. So it's like all this happened in 10 minutes. And one of the things my mother said to me, and I never forgot this, I didn't realize it till I rewatched the recording of the session. I didn't even realize that she had said this to me. She said, remember this, Julianne. She said, who you saw me as your mother, as the Triba, the Terry, the teacher, the mom, the mother, et cetera, that you saw me as, that was only one of thousands and thousands of facets of who I really am. The other thing she said to me, she came to me through a channeler once, and she said to me, I was so shocked when she came through, and I said, Mother, how do you find it on the other side? And she said, Julianne, read Plato. So the first thing that came to mind was the cave allegory. And in other words, what we think is
Right.
reality here is nothing to do with reality.
Yeah.
So,
When
but
you said the other side, my inner voice said the inner side.
right, there you go. Yeah, I have to remember that the inner
I
side,
call that our home station.
right?
The because
That's a good term for it. That really is.
yeah,
But
it's
anyway,
like
that
yeah.
that said, so I want to get back because it's such a great story, and I don't want to lose anybody here. So what happened then at that point? So you said that the sphere that is you is actually dented because it's pushing
Yeah, it docked into the
like a
membrane
ship, you
and,
said.
yeah, and
So
injected uh, the energy into creating this world, creating this body. I didn't get the full upload, like I actually have since then discovered a lot of stuff. And, and when I say discovered, that means the deeper, our true teacher is our source level. And I've discovered that and have that level showed me how to dial in and change the communication that naturally happens. Um, Not only that, it just told me to recognize it and then
yeah,
to adjust it.
right.
And see, it just happened just now. It's like all day. Like I'm aware of the deeper all-knowing level. And it led me into becoming aware of the existence of the deeper nature through experiences, like turning my head while I'm walking across a field at night. And that level of us knows this level of itself, which is us, better than we do. And it's
Uh-huh.
also that's where it sets up the synchronicities and is in full communication with all other levels of being on that level. And so they're all working together and um, inserting things that we run into and ideas and we're being grown. We're growing ourselves. We're like godlets. We're made of the source energy of life, and we're in the process of becoming aware of it and then responsible, conscious beings.
And I think these downloads or inloads,
Inloads.
I'm, I'm going to start saying that now, and people are going to be looking at me. So
Because it's
I'm
coming from the inside. It's a multi-dimensional idea.
right. I was
It's like,
thinking that the downloads again is coming from the other, right? It's coming from ETs or it's coming from
oh,
something else that's in, and I'm beginning to realize now that so much of the information that we receive really are inloads. It's another facet of ourself that is actually giving or imparting that information to the human self.
we do get information from other beings because
No
we all
doubt.
we all come in with a team
Right.
and that it's like a team effort. Each individual, like right now, there's like eight or 10, five primary and 10 beings right here. Like your team, my team, and their assistants.
Right.
We are primary, they are secondary. And that I learned or discovered from the very beginning in the late 80s to become to start getting they totally did not believe in channeling other beings. Those are different perspectives on different levels, and those are also transformational or expanding. So, this being might show up and say something, and 2 seconds later, it has an upload or a refinement of its understanding, just like we do. And now, what it just told us isn't applicable anymore. There's a more refined position. And so, uh, who's looking out for us directly is the source level of our own being, which is us. And we will not violate ourselves. And it is on that level is pure positive. It's like the vision I got was plus plus, not plus minus.
Yeah. Right.
And it's all aware and knowing. It's like supra conscious, not
Mm-hmm.
super
Right.
conscious.
Supra. Right.
Yeah, like that came yesterday through my mind. A rewording of because somehow or other it's more applicable.
Absolutely. Do you write these down when you get these?
Some of them, but I mean, I so much is coming through that, and it has to do with the present moment and
Yeah. You
my. I'm way far along, like been training and practicing and working with people and animals and the earth even and the planetary system even. We can we affect everything we focus on. And so it's really important for us to understand the truth. The truth is, like in what Jesus said, I don't do these works. My Father does them through me. Now, I'm sure it was said in a different way because it wasn't, well, I guess it was patriarchal back then and distorted. But
Yeah,
so,
very.
yeah, and they were definitely discounting the maternal and making it subservient. So, so,
Ergo, our Mother Mary, who of course was a virgin.
well,
Anyway, that's not
anything's possible, but I highly doubt it. And no, I'm just kidding.
right.
I mean, why have a Ferrari and not take it for a drive, you know? It's like, I mean, it's part of our nature here. And and the hormones, I mean, those are stronger than our own inner yeah, they can really drive us. And so uh let's see, where were we? We just
Okay, so again, like you're looking at the sphere and it's docked like a ship, and you could tell that it was feeding, injecting energy.
okay, yeah, we should finish that story.
Yeah.
So then everything shifted like to my right according to focusing that way. And I was in the void. I got shifted into a different place. And by no doubt, that big round thing there, that's actually me, which I haven't, I'm sure that actually, there's a lot of things that level of myself told me not to conclude at one point.
Wow.
As I'm opening to what really is happening beyond the programming and the running stories, and because we only usually see what we look for, and that has to do with what we've come to know is true for ourselves through our experience and our programming from family and the collective of humans. And
So
so,
so you prohibited yourself from going further into that, or what happened?
well, what I realized is that like when we come back from dreams, that level of ourself translates it for this level into recognizable symbols
Right.
and into what we how we recognize it through how we already understand ourselves in relationship to the life here as a human. And at least we think we're a human. And so therefore we are because that's a truth for us. But really we're not. And thank God. Like uh boy, if that was the end all, I'd just check out.
Right.
Like forget, I'd rather be nothing
It's
than this,
like the
this
the
is all
old
there was.
the the old Peggy Lee song, "Is That All There Is?"
Yeah,
Right.
break out the booze and keep on drinking.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. If this is all there is. Uh, so the deeper level guides everything because it is holding it in reality. It is like it's beyond really our understanding.
Yeah.
This level, we can intuit it, which takes the complexity of the analytical function and simplifies it into direct upload and knowing and realization. And so, if we're going to be analytical, things are going to be very complex, as we well know. And but what I notice is the intuitive simplifies everything because it's a direct recognition, and there's none of this thinking and relationship on the level how we were taught to think
Right. And
and relate. Yeah.
thinking implies the brain, which is matter, which is human. So we have to be careful utilizing that term, because we know that we don't think, we know that everything is already,
Mhm.
right? So thinking, anyway, that's another rabbit hole. So go ahead.
Yeah. The mind is actually a field of energy or a dimension that is in the brain is the physical counterpart
I
of
meant to say
mind.
brain. I said
Yeah.
mind, but I meant to say
No,
brain.
you did say
Oh,
brain.
did I?
Yeah, but I'm saying that the mind is an interface that comes with the brain.
Right.
It like links it. And so our memory really isn't in that cell right there.
Hmm.
We're accessing
That's what
uh,
I was trying to say,
or
basically.
summoning it forward because we see that's okay, that's where we were. I don't do these works, my father does them through me. And what I discovered that that means through direct energy work and doing remote energy healing work is that level. See, when I say discovery, it's I defer to what Jesus was calling the Father because that's the all-knowing level that runs and makes that puts everything that energizes and holds everything in living motion. It like holds it all together and runs it, energizes it into being, and so that we can have this here and be what we are here. And so what I noticed is all I have to do is focus, which is kind of a male move, applying, right? And then receiving is like a radar dish, is like is a female move. But in reality, we are both and more. We are the more that holds that construct in living existence. We are the nature itself, our true beings. And what I've discovered is what that level showed me is to focus, which summons information. So I know what I mean, and I know what my motive is, and I know my intention is to see what's going on. And when I focus, I open at the same time. And this is something for all of us to think about. So when you focus, you're summoning what it is you're calling for, and then you got to receive it. And so if we do the analytical focusing, we block out hearing the inner upload or inload because usually it comes and surfaces somewhere here, like you feel it and see it, and
And
it's a variation.
therefore blocking the yang or the feminine that
Boom.
that
Yeah.
that allows you to receive or allows you to receive.
But
Right.
that's the part of our nature that, see, we're both and more. And so it's kind of like the yin and yang springs from the source, which holds it and kind of like pops some of its energy forward, splits it so it seeks itself, male, female. And but it holds the whole thing, the whole game together in reality. But it's not
Well,
reality. It's
right.
not the baseline reality. It is. And its level, which is where your son is, and my grandma, and my mom, and my grandpa, and my brother, two of my brothers, and like, and my pets, and like, and so the main part of us is there in the inner world. We are non-physical beings.
Right. Right.
And so like that giant ball and this little piece of its own energy it tooled and invested into this world, like that's this. But on the spiritual level or on the energy level, there is no time and space. And so you know how the in a hologram, the whole is within the part. So you take a part of the hologram and you shine a light through it, and the whole picture shows on the wall. You
Right.
can cut it into 1,000 pieces, and every piece will do that.
Again and again. Right.
Yeah, it's like a fractal or a, but that's a analytical linear
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a true beyond multidimensional idea. And because that's also a word that comes from the analytical function in a language that is built upon the limitations of understanding, not ever referencing the source of the being of life itself, especially in science. You're cutting apart a dead frog. It's like, well, what animated that thing? Like, where's the real principle of life? Well, it's the thing, it's right everywhere. And like,
Thank God I didn't start asking those questions while I was only 17 years old and looking at that frog, or it would have been, I would have gotten an F because I would have said, no, I can't.
Well, if you were empathically connected, or
Right?
you were open on a heart level where we're one with all things and we can blend, we can even pet an alligator and love it, like, oh, you're so cute, little baby, or whatever. And we're capable of blending with all life and sharing love with anything, becoming one with anything. We have a special ability. And eh, you know, it would really be something if humanity realized what it is, what it's a part of, and its true place in the overall larger nature.
Right,
And they
right,
would be a whole nother reality.
right.
We wouldn't even recognize anything we recognize, except for physical expression. And but it would be a whole nother story. There wouldn't be all these artificial constructs covered in toxic things to stop the natural biodegradation process, and we're hiding from nature because it's the enemy and just killed 10,000 people in an earthquake in Bolivia or whatever. Like we're taught to fear nature because we are nature. And the moment we go to the core primary station or we go direct, we realize that we are our own teacher, that we are life itself. And then we are our own author. It's a subjective point of view, direct.
We are our own author. And that's the other thing that I wish more people would keep in mind, that I don't want to use the word script, but we are creating our existence through energy as we go. And we can envelop that energy and turn it into whatever we want to.
Actually, we do. It's not that we can, it's recognizing how we already do that. Like, and then see,
And
look,
the
look,
outcome is
look,
always based on the intention.
look what happened in this world. Like beings have torn apart life and discovered the nature of it objectively for one purpose, to control it, because they're out of control. They don't understand even what anything is. They're like, you know, there's tons of variations. I can't even go there. There's so many variations of that dysfunction or distortion. And so when we wake up, it's the deeper level of our being that awakens this level, or brings awareness, expands awareness here. We have to call it, because what we focus on is what we're calling from that level of ourself, like the memories involved, and the descriptions from the shelf that we memorize that are non-evolutionary and non-expansionary, that we just, these supposed facts that we go get indoctrinated with, and then we store them on the shelf, and then when the subject comes up we put it in front of the actual living thing and say, oh, this is what this is. This is firewood, this tree, or it's a 2x4. And so what happens is we're living in a world of projections that we ourselves are projecting. And see, what happens is when you discover natural internal process, is you become that. What happens is as you start to awaken or become aware of the internal actual being you are, and what nature, the nature of nature, start recognizing it, then you automatically start understanding how all that other stuff has happened. Like, because without being aware and connected is the only way you can violate and destroy your
Right.
own nest and kill everything.
Because if you're looking at that tree
Yeah.
and you realize that it's okay to use that for shelter, simultaneously you have to achieve the balance and understanding that nature abhors a void. And it is your responsibility, if you're going to take, to figure out how you give back to the land. If you're going to take that, if you're going to allow
Well,
that.
That's our take or translation of the native, um, how they lived it.
Well, it can be,
Civilization ruined everything.
but I'm also saying that you're right, but I'm saying that had we done that, had we understood at that very time that whatever we take, we have to give back,
Well,
we would have not ended up destroying our earth the way that we have. And by the way, I really believe that our earth is going to be fine. It is so much bigger than we are.
yeah, this is just an exception to the rule. Everything else is in balance and symbiotic union. Like that's one thing I discovered how to do, or discovering means it was brought to my attention, is to when I got tired of this world and all the undealt with traumas within myself, because I'm like, will this ever end? Like I just dumped like 10,000 things. Like how much more is left? You know, like
I've been I've been
like
there. You're like, okay, I'm done. And then guess what? Damn it, you're
everything's
not.
interrelated. So you think you got rid of, you think you brought closure to something, but it's all woven into the fabric.
Oh
And
yeah.
it
Yeah.
affect everything affects everything. And so this is when we enlist the higher level of our being, the Father, to this is what I teach. I don't teach, I walk people through these different processes, these distillations of natural creative function and how to interface with different levels of the larger life that
Hmm.
we're composed of, and we're floating and swimming in it, like like we have the freedom to think anything because we are we're made of infinite creative energy, which gives us that potential, and so we can decide anything we want and we will experience it directly. That's the way this design is made. The whole interface of this multidimensional system that we're affords us the bio expression to be here and to express and experience and then create. And we literally, I forgot where I was going with that. I took an offshoot too far. It'll come back around. But the what? Oh yeah. So like we're this design is made for us to be conscious as the actual energy being we are, or the awareness we are, whatever is the real true description, because really it's beyond description, because it's a creative act to attempt to describe anything. But you are the describer, you are the experiencer, you are the feeler, you are the one, right? And everything else is secondary, or is experience. I don't know. I'm not going to go there because I don't want to chase it. I want it to come direct,
Right.
and so then it will be accurate, and I don't have to chase it for 5 years. And
Well, because chasing it chasing it implies a certain amount of desperation there. We know that once you turn desperate, that you just block off everything.
yeah,
Um,
you only know when you know,
well
and
said. And
and that's
that
direct.
said,
Yeah.
John, we could, so for the sake of our viewers,
Oh yeah, yeah,
we have
yeah.
to bring you back, right? You're not done with your near
Oh
death
yeah,
experience.
so I went into the void and I could see, of course I'm in a state of being and I have no frame of reference. I'm just a being, like, and the bigger level that is running the whole show like it does for on every level, every life level of life, like the larger fully conscious level is like shifts me over here. And then, of course, I didn't know that then. And so now I'm looking at the right side view. So my nose is facing that way of this body, but it's not the body. It's like an energy blueprint, but it kind of looks like a body because it is in the form of the body. I didn't know that. I'm just looking at it, like aware of it, and I could sort of feel a little bit in there, but I was mostly here. And then I could there's nothing, but it was pure energy really, and I could kind of sense these waves, like hitting the body and going through the body like that. And even its hair flew like whoosh, like, and every time I could feel it hit because part of my awareness was in that thing over there, but I didn't think any of that till later. And I'm just describing it now. And then all of a sudden, on the third hit of this giant puff of pure raw energy, I completely landed in that form and was looking out its eyes. It seemed like, uh,
Mm.
sort of. Well, I was looking that way, and no, I added that later. I didn't think any of that. So I just landed, and now I'm there, and my awareness is focused that way. And then I heard a noise, and I'm a very curious person. I went from here to here towards the noise and the nothing. It was over there somewhere. And then another noise over that way, and I went from there to here, like boink, and well, the other way around with my hands, like wait, that way or
Wow.
whichever way. But anyway, I went from there to there. And then when I curiously transferred near the next noise, I was floating in this tunnel. It felt like a tunnel, pretty big one, and it was like fog, and I had a sense of motion. And I wasn't in a body. Like I'm really curious about that kind of. But anyway, like I haven't related that, like connected those things together. It just this is what I'm remembering and recalling. And so I'm floating through the fog tunnel, and and then I ran into my right calf in this dimension. But in the fog dimension tunnel thing, the void fog tunnel, whatever, I think the fog tunnel was now that I'm thinking of it, it was different than the void. It was a formation. And so I ran into my calf in this world, but I could not see it, perceive it in the fog. And when I did, I felt my whole body here, and I felt it releasing the rest of its urine because it had died. And the whatever was running this whole thing twanged inside of my nature like a string, a guitar string, kind of boom, the feeling of embarrass, recognition of the awareness of people around, just a little package, like bing, and embarrassment. And that launched me into my body to
Isn't it
stop.
interesting that a social contract would
Yeah.
would bring you there?
I launched into my body to stop myself from actually releasing the number two, not just number one.
Right?
Because when you're not there to hold it together, everything lets go.
Right.
And everything, even if you just ate a meal, it'll come out your mouth.
Right. Right.
It'll, it just goes.
Right.
And so uh, I I literally went like this. Ugh. And I said, oh, then this guy shoved me back down. And I said, did I pee my pants? And uh, he said no and started slapping my face. Bam, bam. What's your name? What's your name? Trying to bring me back. And after that, and that pulse of that brought me back in, and the question that came out of me, I was back into a blank state of being, like, bong. And he was like, bam, bam. What's your name? What's your name? And I said, oh yeah, that's right. My head was rocking, and then I got a flash of irritation that went through the center of my body, like as big around as my pinky, just. And I stopped my face and I looked right into his eyes to give him what he was asking for. And this piece of energy appeared right here, about 2.5 feet long, and it was opaque, like a pill, like a capsule. And it appeared when I focused to answer him, it goes and then plugged into my hemisphere right here, just the tip of it. Like,
Wow.
so I got this big thing sticking out of my head, right? And I've never even heard of that before. And since
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
I mean, but I know what it is. It's the and so he starts slapping my face again, bam, bam, and then some guy jumps in and with a smelling salt, and I'm like, and he's, I swear they were having fun, and like I did a lot of martial art training. I know when someone's doing something harder than they need to, and uh, and so. And so I got that flash of irritation go through the center, like the pranic tube, or whatever in pranic healing, this is the
Sure, yeah.
dead center. And uh and I did the same thing. I stopped, looked him right in the eyes to give him what he was asking for, and this another piece of energy appeared, and it was shorter, about this big, and it was a little wider, and it had this energy flowing like a ping pong ball off the first video game, being bouncing off the walls. It goes and bounced off the end of it and came back through and bounced off. It was going back and forth through the opaque white, and it was a different, it wasn't really a color kind, it was something, it was energy of some kind. And it appeared when I focused to answer him. I summoned it, not even knowing any of this stuff. Bing! And click! And it plugged in, and I had my whole life back. I knew
Wow.
everything. So those you were talking about the Akashic records. I'm thinking that these get popped and stored, like, and apparently we can summon them back, or if we come back, those come back. And it's very interesting that each one was to us one. This was for this hemisphere, this was for this hemisphere, and that it's very interesting, and it has a lot of implications that you could really go down like 5 rabbit holes with neurology, energetic, like the blueprint and the
Right.
neurological interface, and the living information vortexes they call chakras, and like and then the being, then the layers of the energy center that are actually warped around the body from each chakra. That's why there's 7 main ones and 7 layers. And then all the living information. I mean, yeah, it's a good
So
thing we
did
don't have to run that stuff,
oh, I
because
know.
it's too vast.
Right,
We
right.
couldn't do it.
But did you detect, because I didn't hear you talk about this, did you detect a sense of an umbilical cord connected
No,
to anything? Yeah, that's
nothing.
it. That's interesting.
No, and that's about it right there. And then they said to each other, um, "Oh yeah, I could hear my friend back there, John, John." Like he was freaking out, but he was plugged in and he couldn't come to my aid, right? Like that's how we met. He was coming to my aid, like it was like part of
Right.
his nature, right?
Mhm.
And like so this guy says to this guy, well, should we take another one? A pint, And
Gosh.
he's like, yeah,
Wow.
it won't happen again.
What?
That's what,
What?
apparently they had a lot of experience. And what I didn't find out until 20 years later from Rick, the guy behind me, my friend, when I was living on Orcas Island, I was a manager of a multi-million-dollar estate, and I hired and fired people, and I ran everything, and I was even project manager. And him and his partner needed a place, and so I let him stay in the guest house for about a week, and while I was lining everything up, jobs for them, because I knew everyone. I was there 21 years, and at the end, but so about halfway through my stay there at that point, and we were talking about this death experience, and he says, "Yeah, when they shocked you 3 times,
Shocked you.
my heart."
They,
I had no idea, and they did
wow.
tell me that happened,
So they
and
did the
the defibrillator.
fibrillator, and
Yeah.
they were curious if they should get one more pint from you.
Yeah, but they still hadn't taken
What
that one away and spun it out and brought it and drained it back in.
were they like on a quota or something? I mean, my
I
God.
don't know what the real truth is,
Wow.
but
Wow.
all I know is that I didn't tell anyone about this. I didn't tell my friends. That would have
So,
tipped it over the
so
edge, right?
is this happening like in the 80s then, right?
In 85.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, in the summer. So, uh, so yeah, and it didn't happen again, by the way. I'll never forget it. Every time I focus on it, I can taste the plastic from the saline solution in the water. They're pumping into my body and it was coming out my breath.
Yeah, I have the same experience when anybody has ever injected saline. I can smell and taste it in my tongue.
Yeah, it's the plastic and that it's in. That it's not just salt and water. And it's probably not even really salt, because real salt's sea salt, not sodium, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It just has a particular taste that
Yeah.
you just know. John, you
So
know
that's
what?
it.
So we've we still have so much to talk about
Yeah.
because I'd like to have you for a part two and really sort of
Let me give a prelude real quick of part two. Like,
okay, like
I went on a mission to understand what happened.
because that's
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted part
Yeah.
two to indicate is to tell our viewers and show them what did you learn from all of this.
Yeah. It's what I practice now as a vocation. And one of them. And so yeah, all the healing work and teaching, real, 4 and 6 week courses. And that's my favorite thing to do because really you need to understand to to maintain your system, you need to have the tools. And I'm talking about your energy system. And one of the things is to become aware of what I call the primary relationship, is the communication that everything already is in full function within us. It's just we're paying attention to something else and we just don't notice. It was never part of our curriculum unless it was, if depending on your family and whatever. And so um, what waking up is doing is just simply becoming conscious of what is already. It's You already are what you are.
Right. It's already there. You just
Yeah.
have to be aware.
It's so someone like me is supposed to just that has already realized it and is in living function.
Hmm.
You are keeping in balance on the move.
Right.
It doesn't matter how advanced you are maintaining your system in living motion.
Hmm.
And so that means if you're contracting, you dilate your system, and that which settles your mind out, the story spinner. And now you're in the state of being or in the present moment. And then you're able to hear better. What we want to do is to become aware of the primary communication between the deeper levels of our being, because that is our true teacher and always has been. Because nobody climbs in your body and does it for you. You look over there and you teach yourself through your inner function. And so this is becoming aware and of the actual true relationship of, and then you will wake up, because that's the part of us. Through your interest, we summon and open the door for that. Knock and the door will be open. Ask and you will receive. Well, we got to understand what all this means.
Hmm.
How does that relate? Because every time we focus, we're asking.
Hmm.
And so we need to know that.
I
Because
know.
what if we're focusing on something negative, you know? And in the Christian Bible, it says, make your yeses yes and your noes no. It's like 100%. We're not supposed to violate our nature, but because everything we focus on, we compare it to our nature. And if it's not a match to our actual real nature that we have forgotten even exists, we lost track of it. But
Hmm.
it is what we are, so we can't not be that. And a natural mechanism is to compare it, comparative analysis, and we will get a percentage, a ratio. This matches my nature this much, but not this much. And we're taught to violate our own nature by saying, I will put up with that crap, that 60% of crap or 40 or whatever to get this. And so it's not 100% yes. So we're constantly violating our own nature by not being true to ourselves 100%. And
Okay, so
yeah,
to that,
okay.
being true to yourself,
Yep.
right? No, because we still have so much more to talk about in part two.
Yeah,
And
I want
so
to
so
walk you guys through the very first thing I show everyone, the on and off switch for the mind.
so that would be great. And I saw you
Dilation.
doing
Yeah.
a breathing
Uh,
technique too. That was very helpful that I was hoping you could teach us.
that's it's very interrelated, but it's all the one same thing. It's just
That
there's so many parts involved that it's like you can use it for anything to undo dysfunctional beliefs, to undo fight and flight so that your power opens when you're under stress instead of clenching. It's amazing stuff. And without this very first thing, you really can't get that far in your awakening process or opening to your true nature because we keep snapping back to the rowboat we're transitioning out of into the other rowboat every time it wobbles. And so we have to have techniques, stabilization techniques, as we're transitioning and opening so that we are stable on the way. It's, you see, otherwise we'll just keep snapping back
so
and
I'm
holding on tight.
very much looking forward to that. So
Yeah.
if you could just to end this particular episode, if you could give the viewers
See.
one takeaway, that might be it right there, right?
Yeah. There. No, I'm just kidding.
One takeaway that you would like for our viewers who have invested an hour and a half so far,
Oh,
and
wow.
uh, I'm losing my light. That's another way I can always tell how much time has gone by. But if you can give one takeaway that you would like for our viewers and listeners to take with them,
Yeah.
what would that be?
Well, we already are what we are. We're already fully intelligent and we have tons of life experience. We are alive. And so waking up more to what we are um, is really simple because we're not beginners. We've already lived life. And so relating it and pointing out the obvious in process nature of our being is easily achievable. It's just consistency. And someone like me, my purpose is to point it out because I can see it. And starting with my own process simultaneously too, and then I just point at what is already in full function. And then you notice and become aware of it. And now you are conscious. And of that particular process, it's all connected. And so, and then in conscious awareness, you can apply it, that natural function on purpose. You can do it on purpose and not accidentally by default, like just because we're living anyway. It's just the good things and bad things, they happen the same way, the same creative function. So it's to understand our position in the true nature that we are. What position do we hold? What is our place? And also to open the communication. It is already in full function. It is really easy to become aware. It's just that someone who has taken it far enough so that they're listening they're being told, they're shown what to say to that person because everyone's different and unique and it's not cookie cutter, like how we wake up and or start becoming aware and more aware because we're already aware to some extent. And so it's someone like me is only around to just, that's why I won't have more than a 4 or 6 week course because I'm not trying to create a lifelong dependent. I'm trying to assist the facilitation of a peer level being because we're all equally capable. We are all made of the energy of life itself and hold all of that power, which is not the kind of power as creative power. It's not like this, what this world has shown us, the distorted version. And it's not power over, it's power within.
So I
And
think of
yeah.
regarding everything that you've gone to great lengths to try to explain, which
Touch
is not
on.
the which is, this is not for the faint-hearted. This is not for people who want to sit there and doom scroll. This is for the
Well,
people who really, and so that said, it brings to my mind from the Bible, be still and know that I am God,
mm,
which to me means that since I believe we are all God, that that is one of the imperative aspects of our existence on this earth, is to be
right.
still and get back to really and truly know who we are, which hopefully you will on part two through breathing exercises and other things help us see how we can begin that process for those of us who haven't.
Right. One thing I'm really good at is the deep dive introspection talks because really we're so used to being mental and analytical. I'm bilingual now. That was my main beginning also. And now I'm listening direct and in living motion. Like I mean like it's not like it's not a set procedure. It's like you got to be listening and focused
Right.
and in the present moment and aware. And so the deep dive talks are is kind of like talking you out of the delusion by just simply, well, I just listen and
Mm-hmm.
say what um what I'm shown to say in relationship to where someone's at. And because and you can be faint of heart if you just want to work through a deeper thing and you don't want to like you do the other stuff I mentioned. Well, it's not that. It's also the same thing. It's the technically show, give someone, walk them through it, do some actual energy work, like clear their channels so their process can function without clutter. And so it's clearer, their system can function clearer. So, and then walk them, then basically walk them through it, like on a live session, and then walk them through tools to apply, the same ones I'm doing, and that I will do till my last breath as a body, because waking up and enlightenment, like what did Tabash said this also. It's like you're not just there. You gotta maintain it in living motion. And so that
Right.
means being aware of how, you know, checking in with your home station. And if you notice just reset your system.
Mm-hmm.
And then which turns off this, which is why you're feeling that. And then that evaporates, and now you're in a state of being, focused though, you're not spacing off. And then you can focus on these things that cause the contraction in an open way, that energy is made to move like a river. And you know what happens when it stops and gets stagnant.
Right.
And so the dilation breath is to simply to open your system, but you have to be aware of how you're breathing, and that is a dialing in process.
Mm-hmm.
And what ends up happening is that part of that is the deeper level of your being reminds you, because you desire to become better at that, to
Mm-hmm.
remember. And so you start working in sync, and then it becomes more and more conscious.
Right.
And now I don't even need to be there. We're just shooting the breeze, because both of us are aware of our inner communication. And now you're the author in the way that it truly is, not the objective version of that, of outside self-proclaimed authorities over you, like subservient. You're more in truth. Like none of that stuff that we deal with and that we that's been imprinted in us is actually the way life works.
Right. Well, John, I on that note, amazing note, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you so much, John, for sharing your story and your wisdom, and your courage to speak to uh, your experience from beyond the veil. Conversations like this, it's a reminder that we're all so much more than we can remember. So, to everyone tuning in, if something in this episode stirred your soul, I invite you to join the conversation. Please leave a comment below, share what resonated, and let us know
Yeah.
what questions or insights you might have. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share Souls on Tap with someone who's ready for deeper conversations.
Check
Yours,
out my website.
well, we'll get to that in a second. Your
Okay.
your support, remember, viewers, your support helps these stories reach the people who are meant to hear them.
Yep.
So the information and contact information, website, etc., that John has will be put in the description box down below, so you'll have a way of reaching him. And to all of our listeners and our viewers, until next time, trust the remembering, follow the call, and keep your soul curious. This is Julianne Thon, and we'll see you next time on Souls on Tap.